watched it, and there wasn't one in it.
Okay.
So
Good morning, good morning. It is another sober day. You're welcome, Pippi. Oh, it is. Good morning, Tony. All right, thank you, Lily. What a week. What a week so far. Holy moly. So my week started on Saturday. I started work. Got irritated Sunday. Had to go outside, and anxiety and all of that got to me, so I walked out of work early. But I know I need to go to work and see if I can just work around what they want me to do. Get on some accommodations and all of those things. But anyways, today is AA Day. I am trying to think of a day during the week in the evening that I could do another AA meeting, because I can't do them on Sundays. So I don't know. Any suggestions on times and stuff that work for you guys? Let me know in the chat or in the comments. That is, if you comment on the AA meeting videos. Because I work Sundays and I can't do meetings on Sundays because it's a lot to do on Sunday. So anyway, enough of rambling. Please do not judge each other in the chat. Do not go and harass somebody else's channel because they're here. Don't go there and call them an alcoholic and all that stuff, because they might be here to support my channel or whatever, and it's not nice to bully others and harass them on things that may not have anything to do with them. And Thursdays, I can think about Thursdays. Yeah. Thursday in the evening. Anyways, like I said, be mindful. Don't be judging each other. We're all here for one purpose, and that is to help the alcoholic who still suffers, whether it is a friend or family member who is a suffering person. Because, us as family members, as being sober family members, or not having the alcoholic part, is they are supporting somebody or learning ways to help that other person that they don't understand how to help them, or the things to say without causing a big scene and all of that stuff. So AA is a lot of help for a lot of different things. So, like for me, yes, I'm wearing my Rod Run shirt. I haven't worn it yet until today. And this is not this last year, but the year before. Anyways, enough of me yapping. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I put in the description what book we're reading, what page we're on, what story, what tradition, or what step. I always try to put it in the descriptions. It will say the more on it, I believe, and it will have all of those details there. Um, so, yeah. I'm Sandra, and I'm an alcoholic. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And now for the traditions. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants; they do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who so suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprises, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. My eye is still twitching. It's driving me crazy. I have an appointment on the 11th, so maybe the doctor can help me with it. Tradition 2, and we are on page 132. If you don't have a book, it's all right. I'm going to read it anyway, so you can just listen in. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. Where does AA get its direction? Who runs it? This too is a puzzler for every friend and newcomer. When told that our society has no president having authority to govern it, no treasurer who can compel the payment of any dues, no board of directors who can cast an erring member into outer darkness, when indeed no AA can give another a directive and enforce obedience. Our friends gasp and exclaim, that simply can't be. There must be an angle somewhere. These practical folks then read tradition 2 as he may express himself in the group conscience. They dubiously asked an experienced AA member if this really works. The member, saying to all appearances, immediately answered, yes, it definitely does. The friends muttered that this looks vague, nebulous, pretty naive to them. Then they commenced to watch us with speculative eyes, pick up a fragment of AA history, of AA history, and soon have the solid facts. What are these facts of AA life which brought us to this apparently in particular principle? John Doe, a good AA moose like, or let us say, the Middletown, USA. Alone now, he reflects that he may not be able to stay sober or even alive unless he passes on to other alcoholics what was so freely given him. He feels a spiritual and ethical compulsion because hundreds may be suffering within reach of his help. Then, too, he misses his home group. He needs other alcoholics as much as they need him. He visits preachers, doctors, editors, policemen, and bartenders, with the result that Middletown now has a group and he is the founder. Being the founder, he is at first the boss. Who else could be? Very soon, though, he assumed authority to run everything, begins to be shared with the first alcoholics he has helped. At this moment, the managing director becomes the chairman of a committee composed of his friends. These are the growing group's hierarchy of service. Self-appointed, of course, because there is no other way. In a matter of months, AA booms in Middletown. The founder and his friends channel spirituality to newcomers, hire halls, make hospital arrangements, and entreat their wives to brew gallons of coffee being on the human side, the founder and his friends may bask in a little in glory. They say to one another, perhaps it would be a good idea if we continue to keep a firm hand on AA in this town. After all, we are experienced. Besides, look at all the good these drunks. They should be grateful. True founders and their friends are sometimes wiser and more humble than this, but more often at this stage they are not. Growing pains now beset the group. Panhandlers panhandle, lonely hearts pine. Problems descend like an avalanche. Still more important murmurs are heard in the body politic, which swell into a loud cry. Do these old timers think they can run this group forever? Let's have an election. The founder and his friends are hurt and depressed. They rush from crisis to crisis and from member to member pleading, but it's no use. The revolution is on. The group conscience is about to take over. Now comes the election. If the founder and his friends have served well, they may, to their surprise, be reinstated for a time. If, however, they are heavily resisted the rising tide of democracy, they may be similarly beached. In either case, the group now has a so-called rotating committee. Oh, okay. In no sense whatever can its members govern or direct the group. They are servants. There is the sometimes thankless privilege of doing the group's chores. Headed by the chairman, they look after public relations and arrange meetings. Their treasurer, strictly accountable, takes money from the hat that is passed, banks it, pays the rent and other bills, and makes a regular report of business meetings. At business meetings, the secretary sees that literature is on the table, looks after the phone answerings, such as a simple service that enable the group to function. The committee gives no spiritual advice, judges no one's conduct, issues no orders. Every one of them may be promptly eliminated at the next election if they try this. And so they make the belated discovery that they are really servants, not senators. These are universal experiences. Thus, throughout AA, does the group conscience decree the terms upon which its leaders shall serve. This brings us straight to the question, does AA have a real leadership? Most emphatically, the answer is yes, notwithstanding the apparent lack of it. Let's return again to the deposed founder and his friends. What becomes of them as their grief and anxiety wear away? A subtle change begins. Ultimately, they divide into two classes known in AA slang as elder statesmen and bleeding deacons. The elder statesman is the one who sees the wisdom of the group's decisions, who holds no resentment over his reduced group or reduced status, whose judgment, fortified by considerable experience, is sound, and who is willing to sit quietly on the sidelines, patiently awaiting developments. The bleeding deacon is one who is just as surely convinced that the group cannot get along without him, who constantly convenes for relocation to office, and who continues to be consumed with self-pity. A few hemorrhage so badly that, drained of all AA spirit and principle, they get drunk. At times, the AA's landscape seems to be littered with bleeding forms. Nearly every old-timer in our society has gone through this process in some degree. Happily, most of them survive and live to become elder statesmen. They become the real and permanent leaders of AA. There is the quiet opinion, the sure knowledge, and humble example that resolve a crisis. When sorely perplexed, the group inevitably turns to them for advice. They become the voice of the group conscience. In fact, these are the true voice of Alcoholics Anonymous. They do not drive by mandate. They lead by example. This is the experience which has led us to the conclusion that our group conscience, well advised by its elders, will be in long run wiser than any single leader. When AA was only 3 years old, an event occurred demonstrating this principle. One of the first members of AA, entirely contrary to his own desires, was obliged to conform to group opinion. Here is the story of his words. One day I was doing a 12-step job at a hospital in New York. The proprietor, Charlie, summoned me to his office. "Bill," he said, "I think it's a shame that you are financially so hard up. All around you, these drunks are getting well and making money, but you're giving this work full time, and you're broke. It isn't fair." Charlie fished in his desk and came up with an old financial statement. Handing it to me, he continued, "This shows the kind of money the hospital used to make back in the 1920s, thousands of dollars a month. It should be doing just as well now, and it would if only you'd help me. So why don't you move your work in here? I'll give you an office, a decent drawing account, and a very healthy slice of the profit. 3 years ago, when my head doctor, Silkworth, began to tell me of the idea of helping drunks by spirituality, I thought it was crackpot stuff, but I've changed my mind. Someday, this bunch of ex-drunks are yours will build Madison Square Garden, and I don't see why you should starve meanwhile. What I propose is perfectly ethical. You can become a lay therapist and more successful than anybody in the business. I was bowled over. There were a few twinges of conscience until I saw how really ethical Charlie's proposal was. There was nothing wrong whatever with becoming a lay therapist. I thought of Louis coming home exhausted from the department store each day, only to cook supper for a house full of drunks who weren't paying board. I thought of the large sum of money still owing my Wall Street creditor. I thought of a few of my alcoholic friends who were making as much as money as ever. Why shouldn't I do as well as they? Although I asked Charlie for a little time to consider it, my own mind was about made up. Racing back to Brooklyn on the subway, I had a seeming flash of divine guidance. It was only a single sentence, but most convincing. In fact, it came right out of the Bible. A voice kept saying to me, "The laborer is worthy of his hire." Arriving home, I found Louis cooking as usual, while three drunks looked hungrily on from the kitchen door. I drew her aside and told the glorious news. She looked interested, but not as excited as I thought she would be, or she should be. It was meeting night. Although none of the alcoholics we boarded seemed to get sober, some others had. With their wives, they crowded into our downstairs parlor. At once I burst into the story of my opportunity. Never shall I forget their impressive faces, and the steady gaze they focused upon me. With waning enthusiasm, my tale trailed off to the end. There was a long silence. Almost timidly, one of my friends began to speak. "We know how hard up you are, Bill. It bothers us a lot. We often wonder what we might do about it. But I think I speak for everyone here when I say that what you now propose, brothers, bothers us an awful lot more." The speaker's voice grew more confident. "Don't you realize," he went on, "that you can never become a professional as generous as Charlie has been to us? Don't you see that we can't tie this thing up with his hospital or any other? You tell us that Charlie's proposal is ethical. Sure, it's ethical, but what have you got won't run on ethics only. It has to be better. Sure, Charlie's idea is good, but it isn't good enough. This is a matter of life and death, Bill, and nothing but the very best will do. Challengingly, my friend looked at me as their spokesman continued. Bill, haven't you often said right here in this meeting that sometimes the good is the enemy of the best? Well, this is a plain case of it. You can't do this thing to us. So spoke the group conscience. The group was right and I was wrong. The voice on the subway was not the voice of God. Here was the true voice welling up out of my friends. I listened and thanked God I obeyed. So it's true. You can't, money does not cure everything. Money does not help everything. When you have your friends that are sober and you help them become sober, you can't expect them to give you something for something that you got for free, right? So we do this. If I need to go to a meeting and I don't have the gas, I will ask somebody if I could get some money so I can get gas to get there. And when they give me that money, they say, if you can pay it back, pay it back. If not, we understand, because money is not everything. Friendship, relationships is more important, and staying sober is more important than that money. Helping others is more important than getting paid to do a service work that we've been giving for free. That's what I get out of it. That's why I do these meetings. Yeah, I don't pay for StreamYard. I don't pay for YouTube. I don't get paid by them either. My husband pays the internet and the electricity. That's all we pay for. And I can't go and ask somebody for my AA meetings to pay me money so I can help the next one. No, I can't do that. It's not right. I live by today that without AA, where would I be? I can't answer that. Where I am now, I can answer. I'm sitting here sober, living life on life's terms as it goes. Yes, I do still have my down days. I have my sad days. I get mad. I'll admit it. But just as soon as I do get mad, it's already right here in my brain, like going, now I have to apologize for that. And it's easier to just try your best to not do those things. And I never thought I would be sitting here 10 years sober. I didn't even think I would make it past a year and a half. And when I first started going to AA, I think I was 3 months sober, 4 months sober, something like that. And I didn't talk. I didn't do anything. I was just like, nope, not happening. And without them and the group and the friends I've made in the group, it's helped me more than they could ever know. And I'm grateful for every one of them that I meet in those meetings, because if it was not for going to that first meeting that I went to, I would not have a sponsor. I would not be sitting here. I would be out there drinking more than likely. And I don't want to go back to my past. My past can stay back there. The alcoholic self that I was is not me today. That's the part that I don't want to go back to. I really do not, because I was not the nicest person. I was throwing away everything, just like it says when you're hitting your rock bottom. How far down do you want to go? And I don't want to go back out. I've already done that once, so I know it happens. I've had friends that have gone back out, and it's sad, but you can't force them to stay. You can't force them to be sober to stay sober. All you can do is be there when they fall and hope that they get back up and that they come back. That's all we can do. We can't tell them that they have to. We can't tell them they can't drink. That's on your own self, by yourself. You have to make those decisions for you. I have family members that still go and drink, and it's depressing because they know that I have fought. I've fought that demon, and I still struggle, but I know what will happen if I go back out and drink again, and I'm not willing to make that sacrifice. But in the same breath, I can't make somebody, even family members, I can't make them go to a meeting as much as I would love them to go. Even if you're just going to check it out, everybody is welcome to meetings. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, nothing of that sorts matter. You can go and check it out, and maybe you'll learn something to help a family member. You never know. One of my biggest fears is being hit by a drunk driver, because I drank and drove once. I didn't do any of that, hit anybody or anything, but still, the thought of how many people have done that and actually hurt somebody that way. It's not worth it. And I don't know, maybe I'm just babbling, but I try to work these into everything. And one of the things that I also know is that when you come into the chat, if you don't want to talk, I understand. Not everybody wants everybody knowing that they're a recovering alcoholic. For me, I want everybody to know, because I've made the choice to be sober. And it does work without having somebody in charge of everything, being the service work. I used to do the pamphlets. I was the what's the word? Anyway, I did service work. I'm doing service work here, and I'm very glad that I'm blessed enough to have this to be able to help people with. I don't know how many I can help. All I know is that's what I want to do. And that's why I share that I am a recovering alcoholic, because there are many, many, many of us. And when you go to meetings and stuff, they help you more than what you expect. And I found my voice from one. I've been to more than just one area's AA meeting, so it's not like the same group. But I do have a home group. I have my sponsors, and it keeps me going on my sobriety. It keeps me going as a person, growing as myself, and staying sober through it all. And today, daily reflection, you can get the app on your phone, your tablet, your Chromebook. I think you can even get it on your laptops nowadays. I don't know. My laptop doesn't want to work. So, anyways, August 5th, listening deeply. How persistently we claim the right to decide all by ourselves just what we shall think and just how we shall act. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 37. If I accept the act upon the advice of those who have made the program work for themselves, I have a chance to outgrow the limits of the past. Some problems will shrink to nothingness, while others may require patience, well thought out action. Listening deeply when others share can develop intuition in handling problems which arise unexpectedly. It is usually best for me to avoid impetuous action. Attending a meeting or calling a fellow AA member will usually reduce tension enough to bring relief to a desperate sufferer like me. Sharing problems at meetings with other alcoholics to whom I relate or privately with my sponsor can change aspects of the position in which I find myself. Character defects are identified and I begin to see how they work against me. When I put my faith in the spiritual power of the program, when I trust others to teach me what I need to do to have a better life, I find that I can trust myself to do what's necessary. And that's a meeting. So, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I love you guys. Stay sober. Have a great week.